Good afternoon. Well, I'm talking to you from Owl's Head, Maine. And although I expected it to be raining by today, Thursday, it's beautiful. The sun is shining and it's really nice out. So, will the rains reach here? I suppose they will. But for today, the inclement and disastrous winds and storm are giving us the day off. So what's going on in the world we should be concerned about? Don't you wish people could find a way to tell the truth without feeling they had to defend themselves? Perhaps they can't. There are a couple of things that are distressing, I think. We have McCarthy, who is the Speaker of the House, who got that position after quite a number of votes to decide that he would or would not be the Speaker, and he ultimately won. But he had to make deals with the radical members of the Republican conference, or caucus, depending on how you prefer to call it. And among those things was a promise to do some kind of impeachment. I say some kind because the kind that it said was wanted and that he announced he would do is he would have a vote to get a sense of the conference to support an impeachment or not. But apparently he couldn't get that number. So now he's announced that he's going to go forward and collect facts for that impeachment without enumerating or suggesting what those facts might be to go forward with an impeachment. McCarthy has said Pelosi never went and got a certain number of people in support of impeachment before going forward. She gets very defensive and says things like, yeah, but in 6 days we pulled it together and we did have a vote. Okay. This overlooks the important factoid that it's McCarthy who said he was going to have a vote and get the number. But bigger than this, and it's astonishing to me that we don't discuss the real issue, unless maybe it's not the real issue. And the real issue, I think, is to say you don't have any facts that support an impeachment. And if you do, what are they? Or what are the general issues that one would inquire after to determine that there is a basis for impeachment? Now, some politicians throw a football in the air and they hope somewhere along the line there'll be a roaming receiver who will pick it out of the air and run for a touchdown. I don't think that's going to work in this case, but that seems to be how McCarthy is doing it. And I think it muddies the water when Pelosi gets defensive instead of talking to the issue, the only issue that matters. And we can refer to, I think it was Ronald Reagan said, where's the beef, right? Okay, so where's the beef? Where's the beef in the allegation that proves that Biden did anything that you think is criminal? Any of the various conspiracies and so forth. And I had a conversation not minutes before I started walking today, and somebody was saying, well, what about Hillary this? What about Hillary that? The answer to that, which may not be pleasing to politicians, is if you have proof that they've done something, however much I may support them now and believe they're true blue, then tell me about it. Put it on the table, and if they're corrupt, let's prosecute them. Anybody, whomever. In fact, I became a prosecutor because I was interested in official corruption. Now, when I did this, it was a time in New York when we had a fair amount of corruption going on, particularly among the police, but not exclusively. And it was pretty serious stuff. And some people confronted with their hypocrisy actually committed suicide. Some of the policemen, detectives. So here we are today, and it's like the people who have a platform to discuss these matters or are anywhere near these matters, they get so concerned about themselves that they miss the bigger picture. And the bigger picture is, where are the goods? Biden, yes, he has a son named Hunter Biden. Hunter Biden did or didn't do certain things. But, so, what does that got to do with Biden, the president? We've had presidents before, I think of Jimmy Carter, who are held responsible for their children. And we've also had presidents who had children that were quite representative. And we have an old family name, Robert Kennedy, that's being disgraced by Robert's son, who's out there saying such nonsense, hoping to skewer the support for Biden so that of all people, Trump might do better in his battle to win the Electoral College. What kind of leadership is that? Yeah, there was a time when Robert Kennedy impressed me greatly with his knowledge and efforts on behalf of the environment. But that's a long time ago. He wrote a book. I read it several times because I thought it was that good. I believed he wrote it. May have written it with others, but I heard him talk at the time, and he seemed to have made those views part of his corpuscular structure. Okay, so we could go on and on. But the principal people dueling right now, and therefore misleading us, are the former speaker and the current speaker. And they're both more concerned about their reputation than they are about the content of the issue. And the content of the issue is, what the hell do you have that shows Biden, even hypothetically, committed a crime? And the answer is nada, nothing. They don't have anything. How does that compare to Trump, which is what what about that? Well, Trump's 2 impeachments should have been prosecuted like a trial. They should have gone after the Senate for its biased view to save Trump, and not all of them did, but to save Trump because they were more afraid of their phony baloney jobs, to borrow from Mel Brooks, than they were about the security of the nation, of our democracy, and of our Constitution. And the same is true today. It gets stronger all the time. And these people in the Republican leadership, House and Senate, embarrass us every day as a nation, not as a party. So, yes, if you have proof that Biden committed a crime, put it on the table and prove it. We did prove it, but the system didn't work because the oath of office meant nothing to the Republicans, who contradicted the facts and ignored the law to say and acquit Trump. Even after, in the second impeachment, after his role in overthrowing our government. Even now, they resist disbarring him from holding office as is provided for in our Constitution. So, that's one part of my observations about the current dire absence of intelligent discussion that meets the issue. Next time you hear somebody on the air talking about the impeachment, listen for the Democrats saying, well, there's no facts there. They don't say it. Why? What is wrong with these people? That's the argument. That's the only thing that matters in the question about impeachment. What are the goods? And there's guys like Bill Douglas, who was, they tried to impeach him, and Ford really had it in for him because he so disliked his politics. It's not a basis for impeachment. Biden has policies. You don't like them? Outvote him. If you can't outvote him, that's the law of the land. Take it, lump it. But return to the fact that we have to govern our nation, not put on a clown show for those in the cheap seats, the 30% of the Republican base who don't give a damn about this country either. That's not a way to unite a nation. I have nothing to say to those people. They can't be persuaded. They don't care. They're like belligerent children who know no better. Yet what they're doing is damaging to the nation. Now today, as I'm talking to you, today is the day they indicted again. No, they hadn't indicted him before. They indicted Hunter Biden, okay? Now, the government had agreed to 2 misdemeanors involving guns and a plan for him to pay taxes that he failed to pay. He's paid $2 million in taxes. The gun charges are that he bought a .38 and filled out a form and said he was not a drug addict at the time that he was buying the gun when he was. Okay, so he's cleaned up. He doesn't have the gun. And the charge was supposed to go away in a deal in what they call a deferred finding. And the deferred finding goes like this. You admit to doing something, and you remain an upright citizen for 6 months, a year, or whatever. And when you've done that, we dismiss or don't file any charges. That was the deal. Hunter Biden's lawyer is Abby Lowell. He's made in more detail the argument I've just made. I've known Abby a good part of my life. He was at Columbia Law School where I went. I think he's a couple years behind me in terms of attending the school. And he's had a terrific career. Now, he's represented some people I wouldn't be in the same room with. And I don't know Hunter Biden. And so I don't compare on that basis. But I do say this. If Abby makes an argument, it's a solid argument. Always has been true. Does he frame the question in such a way that his conclusions will out? Well, maybe not. But the framing that he makes is legitimate and supported. It may not succeed. From what I can tell, in this case, saying we basically had a deal, the government broke it, a judge who was Republican found, quote, flaws with it. Everybody talks about it as a sweetheart decision, but it's not a sweetheart decision. I mean, the object of our programs involving drugs are to get people straight and to have them obey the law. So, are there aggravating factors? Well, one of them is to say he had advantages, other didn't. So why was he engaging in crack cocaine? Ask that any one of the millions and millions of people in America. So it was a fair deal, fair for the government. And basically, it appears to me, it was a way to save face for the prosecution that had been given a hot potato by a Republican administration to find something on Hunter. And this was the best they could come up with. And no shame or embarrassment seems to affect the outcome. So these two examples, which are current and pertinent to our public discussion, come up light, it seems to me, in terms of what we should expect from our elected officials, from our appointed officials, from our prosecutors. And I think, is Hunter Biden right? I think he is in this case. You leaned on him, he thought about it, he made a deal, and then you pull it out from beneath his feet after the Republican pressure on the Republican appointed to the case, and he's told, if you want to bring the case anywhere in America, you can do that. So we say no man is above the law, but can a man be below the law? In Hunter Biden's case, I think so. In Biden himself, they claim they're going to impeach him. For what? And if you have bupkis, you have nothing but frivolous BS, is he being treated as a man below the law, the Constitution? I say yes. So if our public discussion is about those who are arguing no man is above the law, is treated below the law, and connected in ways that are not true factually or legally, then we are in trouble. And we've been in trouble a long time. And I score Biden against him for his failure to fight from the time he won the election through the period of 2 years when he wouldn't unleash his attorney general, who was sleeping in a corner, doing nothing about the errors, crimes, omissions of Trump. So, those are a couple of my thoughts up here in the sunshine of Maine, which we hope will avoid at least the most extreme promised dangers of the storm Hurricane Lee. So that's what I got to say, and I'll be back soon to Virginia to talk to you in my neighborhood trees. Bye-bye.